Gabriel Lima. He's captain of Italy's futsal team and plays his club futsal for Asti. In February, the 26-year-old was voted best player at Futsal's Euros, which Italy won for only the second time.
I started
playing futsal at the age of 3. That's because my father played both futsal and 11-a-side football. So when I was 3, my parents had me join a futsal school, and that's when it all started. I was in my last year in high school in Brazil. I arrived back from school for lunch, and my mother was home, and I found her crying. This really frightened me, because I thought something serious had happened. But what had actually happened was that my Brazilian futsal coach had called her to tell her there was a possibility for me to go and play in Italy for Aosta Futsal Club. All the documentation was ready. I had an Italian passport because my grandfather is Italian. He'd been in Brazil from the age of 18, and because my coach knew I had the documentation, he called me about going to Italy. My mother understood I'd accept the invitation and leave Brazil, and in fact, in less than a month, I was on a flight to Italy.
I
arrived in Italy in July 2004. Italy has given me a great deal. It's given me the opportunity to become a professional player, the opportunity to play at a level I'd only dreamed of, and which I thought would never come true. It's here that I've become the person I am now, because I was still young when I arrived. I got married here. I was christened here. I bought my first car here. I've had many firsts here. Italy is in my heart just as much as Brazil, which is the country I was born and raised in. In the Italian Futsal League and in the national team, there are a lot of Italian Brazilians because, as we know from history, many Italians emigrated to Brazil a long time ago. Therefore, there are a lot of second and third generation people like myself who now live in Italy. Italian culture is very strong in Brazil, and as futsal is a very Brazilian sport, Italians have always looked for talented players that can bring quality to their league. The first time I was selected for any Italian national team was for the under-21s. I remember it well. It was July 2005. Paolo Menicucci, who was the national under-21 selector, spoke to me and told me I'd been chosen. I couldn't believe it. I only believed it when I arrived at the training camp and put on the national team shirt. It was a great honor for me, and I remember singing the national anthem for the first time, and I'm not ashamed to say I cried, because at that moment I remembered my grandfather and everything I'd gone through. The World Cup in Thailand was an incredible experience. To play in a World Cup is the dream of every player, regardless of their sport. I really wanted to do well, because you never know if you'll have a chance to play in another World Cup in your career. And so, as I was there, I wanted to give it all I had. We had a good team and had an amazing match in the quarter-finals against Portugal, coming back from 3 goals down to win 4-3. That game was probably the most emotional point of my career. Italy has a good chance to do well in the next World Cup in 2016. Against the teams that are always the favourites in futsal. I mean Brazil and Spain. We've just won the European Futsal Championship, which is no easy task, but this is the time, having just won an important title, to improve and not sit back. And we can't think we're now the strongest nation in the world.